Alright, hey guys, it's been a minute since I've done my last video. I wanted to get you caught up with what's going on. As you can see, the beds here are looking really good. The cover crop's coming in. I did get both the lights wired up to 240, but all the plants that are in the solo cups are looking great. And I'm getting ready to leave for 6 days. And so I wanted to show you what's been going on and what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a compost extract. And I'm going to show you the process, the compost extract process, and maybe explain the difference between the compost extract and a tea, and then kind of show you what I did with the blue mat system. So in a living soil type system, the thing that drives your fertility, that unlocks the NPK and your trace from the parent material, from the sand, silt, and clay that's in any soil mix or even in sand, you need biology, and so the biology is what unlocks all those nutrients into their bodies, and then the soil food web kind of works its way. The other biology in the web consume that bacteria and fungi, and then you have a nutrient cycling process that happens. So what you want to have, and what I'm going to do is a simple compost extract, and what you need for that is a biologically complete material, compost, leaf litter, earthworm castings, or something of that nature. I don't have a biocomplete compost, but what I do have is leaf litter in the backyard, and you can still see there's lots of worms. And so what's going to happen is I've looked at this under the scope, and there's lots of bacteria, lots of fungi, and protozoa, nematodes, amoeba. There's a really good representation of the soil food web in here. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to extract those from that material, much like you would ice water hash extraction process. You're going to fill the bag with material. And this is different from a brew, and I'll explain. So I'm wanting to put about half of this material, maybe about a pound of material for a 5 gallons of water. I've got about 3 gallons of water here, so a pound in that's going to be pretty significant. It's not the volume of water necessarily that you're concerned with, it's the volume of extracted biology that you're going to get. So this can be really, really rich and thick in biology, and we would only have to apply a very little homeopathic dose of this onto the beds to apply the biology, enough biology to start making a difference. So just like a tea brew you would do, I'll take this, and instead of actively brewing it in an aerated mix, I'm just going to dunk it in the water, massage it a little gently, because we don't want to push a lot of this stuff through. We just want to extract the microorganisms and not a lot of that sand and silt. So we're going to do this for about 30 seconds to a minute. And kind of breaking up the mass a little bit, careful not to knead or scrub, because that can cause a lot of that material to leach through, and you can cause damage to the biology. So you just want to kind of turn it a little and then put it back in. And so now that's about it, and that's the first extraction. And so what you would do, ideally, if you have a microscope, you would take a sample of this liquid, look at it under the microscope, do an analysis, and see, what the concentrations are of the biology that you have present in this liquid. If it's not enough, you take more material and you do a second round in the same liquid. So it's like 2 tea bags with your Earl Grey tea in the morning. It's going to be just a little bit more potent. So I'm not going to take the time to scope this, because I've already scoped the material numerous times. It's been kind of my training grounds out there, so I know what's there, and I know I need to do it a couple times to get enough concentrations of biology. So you can take your material and just reintroduce it either into your beds or reintroduce it into your compost pile. I'm just going to leave that here in the bed this time. And then we're going to do round 2 with the fresh material. And I think ideally I would like to rinse this off before doing this again. But for time's sake, I'm just going to do it. So as you can see, there's a lot of stuff that's going to get into my extract, and that's going to would require me to have to run that through a fine filter, enough to filter out the particles if you're going to run it through a sprayer or something. I'm just going to directly apply this to the garden, so I'm not necessarily concerned about a lot of these particulates and the slurry at the end. I just won't pour that last part off, and it'll go back into the compost pile. So here we go. We're going to do another 30 seconds. It's a really simple process, and you can get really good results from it. So the key is you just have to have good material. And if you don't, it's time to start looking into vermicomposting or composting biocomplete compost. And when I say biocomplete, I mean it's got not just bacteria, but abundance and fungi, hopefully a 1-to-1 ratio, and then protozoa, nematodes, maybe even microarthropods. You want those things in there because that's what really drives this whole machine. So I don't know, probably did 30 seconds, maybe a little more, a little less, either way. Not too worried about it. So what you have now is a very dense, kind of soupy mixture that if we looked at it under the microscope, it would be full of nematodes, full of bacteria, full of fungi, amoeba, you know, all kinds of stuff going on in there. And so now what we're going to do is we'll just take that, and I like to dilute it 50-50. It really doesn't matter, just because I want to be able to get it on all the beds evenly. So I'll dilute this just enough to where I can spread it through this and my houseplants. So I've got this, I might as well use it everywhere. It's good for all your plants. So this is an extract. Super safe to do unless you're dealing with anaerobic material that smells like shit. If you're extracting something that smells like sewage, you're in the wrong business. Like it's got to smell good and earthy. So there's really a low risk of transferring or extracting anaerobes, or at least anaerobes in populations that are enough to cause an issue. You're going to have a way more beneficials in a situation like this. Now, if we're going to do, and this is really good to just water in. The bacteria are kind of just there, and the fungi are just kind of there. They just got disturbed and dislodged from their home where they were happily feeding, and they're just kind of chilling right now. When we water them in, the water will carry them into the soil, and then they'll latch onto parent material and get busy again. Really good for a soil drench application, the extract. The difference now between the extract and the tea is basically you're taking an extract, adding aeration and a food source. Now, depending on what food source you use, you're going to breed either bacteria or fungi. Fish hydrolysate, all the calcium from the bones and all that, a really good fungal food. Kelp, good bacteria food. Just do some research and check it out. The point is that when you do a brew, now you're breeding and populating that water with more bacteria and more fungi. You're causing, with the air and food, they're going to grow. There's going to be an explosion of growth. And with that comes glues that the bacteria and fungi make. That's what they adhere themselves to the parent material with. And so now you've got this soupy, gluey mess. When you apply it as a foliar, the water carries the gluey bacteria substance along with bacteria and fungi and all the other soil food web cohorts. They hit the bottom of the leaf, and the water droplet falls off. The sticky, gluey material stays on the leaf, ready to colonate and create a castle wall. When you look at a leaf surface after it's been properly colonized with an electron microscope, it's impenetrable. You think powdery mildew is touching a leaf. It's not. It's really sitting on top of a castle wall of biology that's just going to consume it. So that's the difference. A brewed tea is great for foliar. You're really creating glues and more biology to stick to your plants. Whereas an extract, you're just extracting them, they're suspended, and then you're applying them to the soil. So that's that. I got the blue mats going again. Lacey and I came in and got them all situated. Instead of having a float valve on my reservoir this time, I'm just filling it. So now I'll know kind of what my watering rates are going to be once this room is equalized. Last time I had a float valve, so one drop went out, one drop went in. People would ask, how much water are you using per bed? And I didn't fucking know. So now, by filling this manually for a few months, probably a couple cycles, I'll have a really good idea on how much water my beds are consuming. And then that way I'll have some data for you, data for myself, and then I'll switch back to a float valve type system so I don't have to worry about filling that fucking reservoir. But anyway, things are looking great in here. I'm stoked. I'm going to switch it to 18 and 6 before I leave. So when I come back, hopefully we'll get some pre-sexing characteristics on some of these plants and we can start to weed out the males or at least isolate the females. And then hopefully we get this ball rolling. But be good, take care, and talk to you soon.